The woman turned around to grab her luggage. In that brief moment, the taxi she had just hailed was taken by a scruffy-looking man. Lisa clenched her teeth in frustration, cursing him under her breath. What she didn't know was that the so-called jerk was actually the long-missing prince of the country. And as a journalist, Lisa was here precisely to cover the story of the prince's sudden return. She had no idea that this assignment was about to change her life forever. Reporters gathered in the palace lounge, only to hear that the prince would not be attending. Disappointed, they all left one by one. Just as Lisa was about to get on the shuttle back, her boss's threat flashed through her mind. Seizing the moment, she slipped away and circled to the back gate of the palace. She blended in with staff returning from errands and snuck inside. The grand corridors gleamed with gold, lined with antiques hundreds of years old. Trying to bring something back to her boss, Lisa pulled out her phone and began snapping pictures. Her attention was suddenly caught by a suit of ancient armor. Before she could react, a butler appeared behind her. Caught off guard, Lisa couldn't string a sentence together. The butler, however, assumed she was Princess Aisha's new tutor. Unsure what else to do, Lisa went along with the misunderstanding. When asked why she arrived 2 weeks early, she quickly claimed her other work had finished sooner than expected. The housekeeper, remembering how past tutors had quit in frustration, didn't press further. Instead, she led Lisa straight to meet the prince and the queen. Lisa froze the moment she recognized him. The man who stole her taxi was none other than the prince himself. As the butler explained Lisa was Aisha's new teacher, the little princess wheeled into the room. She greeted her brother warmly, then frowned at his thick beard. She asked why he was keeping it so long. The prince explained that not shaving helped him avoid being recognized. He then looked at Lisa and said, "Clearly, it's working." Following his gaze, the princess turned to Lisa. Her haughty tone made Lisa realize this tutoring job would be no easy task. Sure enough, on her very first day, Lisa found a rat sitting squarely on her chair. The butler sighed helplessly. This rebellious princess had scared away several teachers with the same tricks. That was why he hadn't questioned Lisa too much, afraid she might storm off like the others. When Lisa opened the book filled with dense math problems, she was at a loss. She had long since forgotten what she once learned, so she thought of switching to English instead. But the princess rolled herself over to the window in her wheelchair, uninterested in studying. It would have been easy for Lisa to let it go, but she wanted to set a better example. She walked over to encourage her. Before she could speak, though, her eyes drifted outside. There, in the courtyard, the prince was practicing archery. Lisa seized the moment and suggested some fresh air. She hadn't forgotten her real mission, finding out why the prince had stayed away so long, refusing the throne. Now, with a rare chance to be near him, she wasn't about to let it slip. When she saw him without his beard, Lisa found herself staring longer than she should. The two exchanged casual words. Suddenly, Aisha announced she wanted to try archery. Knowing his sister hated studying, the prince didn't want to ruin her excitement. He handed her the bow. With smooth precision, she drew, aimed, and released. The arrow landed dead center. The prince was stunned, but quickly brushed it off as beginner's luck. Determined not to be outdone, he insisted Lisa give it a try. Lisa could barely hold the bow correctly. The prince stepped in close, adjusting her stance. As she raised the arrow, she looked up at him, as if silently asking if this was right.
Let's go.
Yeah. The woman's eyes wandered around the grand hall, scanning every corner. Every now and then, she discreetly raised her phone to snap photos of the prince. But what Lisa didn't know was that the moment she stepped into the room, she had already drawn the attention of certain people. One of them was Elsa's cousin, the second in line to the throne. Even after learning from Elsa that Lisa was a tutor, his tone carried the unmistakable arrogance of royalty. Just then, the prince approached, casually cutting through the lord's gaze with a remark laced in quiet mockery. That small act of subtle rescue made Lisa's heart skip a beat. Despite their awkward first encounter, when he had stolen her cab, he had apologized sincerely when they met again in the palace. Lisa recorded every detail of her time there in her laptop. Since Elsa had no real interest in studying, Lisa wasn't too worried that her lack of teaching experience would be exposed.
Morning. Good morning. What are you up to?
Just catching up on some emails. Are you ready for your lesson?
No, we're going to make Christmas cookies instead.
You're gonna get me in big trouble if we don't start your lesson by 9.
Not nearly as much trouble as if I told them your real name.
Clever Elsa had already noticed that Lisa didn't have the knowledge or demeanor of a real teacher. Curious, she secretly went through Lisa's laptop and discovered her true identity as a journalist. But instead of exposing her to the queen, Elsa made her an offer. Lisa could keep her secret, as long as she promised not to exaggerate or distort the truth in her reports. Whatever she wrote had to reflect what she truly saw and felt. To help Lisa with her story, Elsa baked cookies in the palace kitchen and then took her to a local orphanage. Even before entering, they could hear the laughter of children echoing through the yard. To Lisa's surprise, the man playing with the children was none other than Prince Jack. Seeing her confusion, Elsa explained that her brother visited the orphanage every month, bringing supplies and gifts to the kids. Even when he couldn't come, he always made sure others carried out his plans. Though she had only met him a few times, this glimpse into his kindness made Lisa's admiration for him grow quietly stronger. The seed of affection had been planted. To thank Elsa for her help, Lisa decided to give her a taste of adventure. After their lesson one day, she secretly snuck the princess out of the palace to a snow-covered hillside. There, she taught her how to ride a sled, laughing together as the cold wind brushed their faces. That moment broke through Elsa's guarded heart, the first genuine joy she had felt in a long time. Prince Jack rode by on horseback and caught them in the act. He quickly joined their game, and the sound of laughter grew even louder. In the chaos, he slipped and fell, right on top of Lisa. The playful scene looked innocent enough, but it didn't seem that way to the pair who had just arrived nearby. One of them was the Lord, and the other was a visiting princess from a neighboring kingdom, and Jack's admirer. Watching him so close to another woman sent a wave of jealousy crashing through her chest. From that moment on, resentment toward Lisa began to take root. When they returned to the palace, the furious princess wasted no time reporting everything to the queen.
Aren't you all a sight? One of the groundskeepers told me he saw you and Emily on a toboggan. Is this true?
They were just having a bit of fun.
Then, almost as quickly, her expression softened into a faint smile.
That said, my late husband was a great believer in fresh air and exercise, and I haven't seen a real smile on my daughter's face in over a year. So if you wish to continue in our employ, Miss Anderson, I suggest you ask permission in future. And next time, perhaps you might give serious thought to inviting your queen on your tobogganing expeditions.
Every day, Lisa's routine was simple. Teach the princess her lessons, then quietly follow the prince, observing his every move. That evening, when she saw him ride out of the palace on horseback, she hesitated for a moment before deciding to follow. But the prince's horse galloped too fast, and his figure soon vanished from sight. As she passed through an open field, her horse suddenly panicked, throwing her to the ground before bolting into the woods. After riding for so long and surrounded by endless trees, Lisa soon realized she was lost. Her fear grew worse when she heard the low growls of wolves nearby. Just as she called for help in desperation, a few gunshots rang out in the distance. The wolf fled, and from the shadows, the prince appeared. He brought her to a small wooden cabin hidden deep in the forest.
Why were you following me?
I was curious. And I'd never ridden a horse outside of Central Park before.
And?
I think I'll stick to my Volvo.
After a light-hearted exchange, Lisa asked where they were. The prince didn't hide the truth. It was his late father's old hunting lodge, a place filled with memories of their time together. He confessed that ever since his father's death, he often came here to be alone. Sensing the sorrow in his voice, Lisa gently asked why he had refused to take the throne for so many years, even choosing to disappear instead. The prince hesitated, but didn't answer. It was clear she had touched upon something too painful to speak of. Just then, the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow came from outside. Worried it might be wolves, the prince went to check, leaving Lisa alone in the room. While waiting, she began browsing the books on his shelf, hoping to learn more about him. Accidentally, she knocked one to the floor. When she bent down to pick it up, she noticed a strange mechanism under the desk. She turned it, and a hidden compartment popped open. Lisa didn't look inside right away. It wasn't until she returned to her room in the palace that she examined it carefully, and what she found left her stunned. Inside was an adoption certificate. The prince was not the king's biological son. His birth certificate had been forged by the royal family. In that instant, Lisa finally understood why he had refused the crown and fled the country for years. He had never been able to face the truth about his past. Now that he had returned, he must have decided to confront it at last. If this secret were made public, it would shake the entire nation and launch her career to unimaginable heights. But when the moment came to decide, Lisa couldn't bring herself to do it. She thought about calling her father for advice, but before she could, there was a knock at the door. It was the prince. Not wanting him to see the adoption papers, Lisa quickly led him outside. At that same moment, the suspicious lord and the neighboring princess, both doubtful of Lisa's true motives, quietly sneaked into her room. There, they spotted the adoption papers lying on the bed. Unaware of what was happening, Lisa and the prince were strolling through the palace gardens. He told her that the next day the palace would host a royal ball, where he would officially be crowned king.
I'll feel a lot less nervous to have you there.
There's something that I need to tell you.
Before she could finish her thought, he leaned in and kissed her. The unexpected kiss stole her words and melted her resolve. In just 2 short weeks, their feelings had quietly grown into something undeniable. On the day of the coronation, Lisa appeared in a breathtaking gown that turned every head in the hall. Following a whisper from Princess Emily, the prince's gaze immediately found her. In front of the entire court, he walked straight to her, took her hand, and led her to the dance floor. From a distance, the lord and the neighboring princess exchanged a knowing look.